Welcome to today's edition of Devotions with Brother Aaron. We make these devotions available Monday through Friday for your convenience, and they are geared toward you and your personal devotion time with the Lord. I purposely keep them around 7 to 8 minutes in length, and I try to give you something encouraging and uplifting that will help you in your walk with the Lord. I would like to quickly encourage you to check us out on our social media outlets. Our regular website address is www.freshfireministries.com. You can find us on Facebook at Fresh Fire Ministries, Hogansville, Georgia. Please click on the follow button there. We're on YouTube at Fresh Fire Ministries with Aaron McCullough. I want you to click the subscribe button there. And then we are on X at Fresh Fire Georgia. We'd love for you to join us on any of these multimedia outlets. And let me ask you to do me a favor. If these devotions are being a blessing to you, would you take just 15 seconds to look down at your share button, whatever media you're hearing this on, and share it to your timeline or to your audience that others may be blessed also? I'll appreciate it if you'll do that. Today's devotion is entitled, Our Actions Affect Others. In his book, Mastering Life Before It's Too Late, Robert J. Morgan tells a story about his friend, George Westover, who was stationed on the USS Tennessee as it was anchored in Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. According to Morgan, the Friday night before the Sunday morning attack on Pearl Harbor, Westover, who had been on shore leave, was late returning to the ship. As punishment, he was assigned the task of painting his battle station on Saturday. When he finished, he failed to secure and stow his can of gray paint. The next morning, when general quarters sounded, a voice came over their intercom announcing that this is not a drill, this is war. As Westover ran to his battle station, his foot hit the can of paint, spilling it on the floor where he had to stand. It also spilled paint onto the decks below. 70 years after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Westover still spoke about how frustrating it was trying to fight the enemy while slipping in a pool of gray paint that seeped into his shoes, stuck to his skin, got on his weapon, and dripped on the sailors below. And so it is with us as Christians. When the enemy attacks, it is usually the things of our Christian walk that we have failed to secure and properly stow that cause us the greatest aggravation and difficulty, which, unfortunately, will spill into the lives of others, causing them to suffer for our carelessness. As Christians, we need to make absolutely sure that everything in our relationship with Jesus is properly secured and stowed. It's too late to do so when the enemy is attacking and the battle is raging. While George Westover's actions had a profoundly adverse effect upon him, as is often the case, his actions also had a profoundly adverse impact upon innocent victims. My youngest granddaughter, Caitlin, is a good case in point. When she was 8 years old, she competed in track and field events. She was really quite good. In fact, Marianne and I went to watch her one weekend, and she won third place in her age group at the district level long jump competition. This qualified her to compete at the state level. However, she's also a member of a 4-person relay team. They announced over the public address system for all participants in the 4-person relay to come to the designated assembly area for the competition. Caitlin came down out of the bleachers and made her way to the designated area. About 10 minutes later, she made her way back into the bleachers where Stephanie, who's her mama, Marianne, and I were sitting. She sat down and just burst out crying. Startled, her mama said, "What's wrong?" Through sobs, she blurted out, "They won't let me run." By this time, thinking that it was the coach who wasn't going to let her run, Stephanie's claws started coming out. She exclaimed in a rather loud voice, demanding, and in a mama bear protecting one of her cubs tone of voice, said, "And just why not?" To which Caitlin finally choked out, "Because some of the other team members didn't show up and we don't have enough people to compete." The same thing happened again another weekend. She was heartbroken again by the actions of another. Here's the truth of today's devotion. Our actions, good or bad, affect others. Whether it is through a spilled can of paint or failing to show up at a team competition we committed to be, our actions often cause pain in the lives of others. You see, our actions are not just our business. Listen to me, they affect others. And I think of all of us, starting with me, need to make sure we have properly stowed and secured everything in our Christian walk that needs to be. Our failure to do so is a recipe for disaster. And by the way, when we fail to honor the commitments we made to the team, it's pretty often devastating to the other team members who were counting on us. One of the greatest lies the devil tells is he tells us that our sin is nobody else's business. Again, hear this truth. Our actions affect others. I'm reminded of the story of a gentleman named James Huberty. As a child, he lived out west with his parents, Arizona, I think. One day, he, his dad, and his youngest brother came home for supper, only to find his mother nowhere to be seen. As his father began searching for her, he found a note from her on the kitchen table. It read, "God has called me to be a missionary to the American Indians. I'm leaving you and the boys and won't be back." As he sat at the table stunned, trying to figure out what to do, his dad realized that the boys hadn't had supper. He told them to get into the car and he would take them to McDonald's. James protested. He didn't understand his situation, and he certainly didn't want McDonald's. His dad forced him. Sadly, some 20 years later, James Huberty walked into that same McDonald's restaurant with a rifle, opened fire, and killed 20-something innocent people. I suppose you'd have a hard time convincing George Westover, my granddaughter, and the victims of James Huberty's shooting rampage that their sin was nobody's business but theirs. I close this devotion with this truth. Our sin is not just our business, and our actions affect others. Lord, would you please, please, please burn that truth into our minds and hearts, that our actions affect others. Lord, I believe there'll be somebody listening to this devotion today that may be at a point of decision in their life that they need to hear this. What they're about to do or about to not do will affect others, whether it will affect a spouse, children, society, a church, a work. I don't know, Lord, but I just feel led, Lord, to pray that you would allow somebody to hear this that's about to make a wrong decision. And God, would you just let it echo in their heart, mind, and soul? Your decision affects others. Lord, help them choose wisely, I pray. And I ask this in your name. Amen.